Like our human bodies, food too have different characteristics, namely heat-producing food, or cooling food, or the food that strengthen particularly your lungs, or food strengthen particularly your liver. And food doesn't do anything that's neutral. So the way I am studying the food is I look at the food to put into those 5 different categories. Warming food, food that produces heat. When you ingest it and metabolize it, gives out the heat.
And who would want that?
People who releases the heat too much. Namely, lesser yin people needs that food. Food produces nothing, neutral energy, and everybody can enjoy the food together. And then the food that gives you cooling energy, people like me who retain heat, and my internal body is hot. So I need to cool myself down so that I can redistribute the heat better. So I can use those cooling food. And then also I have a weakness, particularly in the lungs area. And then there are food that endow with the energy that strengthens the lungs. Likewise, there is a food, the 5th category is a food that produces the energy that strengthens your liver. And my liver happens to be plenty strong, so I don't really have to worry about that, but I can still use it. If my liver is under stress, I can go to that food. So if you eat and continue to eat warming food while your body is already warm, you are basically adding imbalance to your original imbalance, or exacerbating the imbalance. And likewise, if you are already heat-releasing type and your body tends to run very cold, and if you continue to eat cooling food, your body, you're exacerbating the original imbalance. And then it'll manifest in a physical issues like inflammation, because your body will tell you you are getting too much to the certain direction, and then it inflames. Or in other words, you become overly sensitive to coldness or overly sensitive to heat, because you're already pretty sensitive to either way. The chronic inflammatory diseases occur as a result of exacerbating the original imbalance and keeping the factor that's causing that imbalance without noticing it, or without changing yourself. And the way I have my diabetes manifesting in my body was very much the result of me exacerbating my heat retaining character of my body. Because I did not know the difference among the food in terms of energy. And I continued to have my favorite foods like lamb or onions and garlic and ginger, assuming those are really good for my body. And I liked the flavor and kept on eating those things and adding the fuel to the fire, right? And so my body, every time I ate those food, my body inflamed. And I developed the numbness to it because I stopped feeling any of this, and I continued to eat. And then of course, what happens to the body is this overheated nature and constant inflammation, and that becomes a chronic inflammatory situation, isn't it? And that is, in my case, manifested in the form of melanoma and gout, as well as the diabetes. And then I met my master, Sunim, who assessed me as a lesser young person, and then he taught me not to eat any warming food. Instead, my diet should only consist of cooling food and neutral food. And I did that diet together with the exercise, which encourages the heat energy that tends to go up to actually re-attract it towards downward.